everyone, it's Helen Hotai here, the diary reader. Let's get into some diary reading. I've got my intermediate memory. So intermediate ages are 11 and 12. I will share with you what a little brat I was when I was 12. Maybe I'll go from 11. When I was 11, we had a manual day. So what the manual day consisted of was you would do woodwork, metalwork, sewing, cooking and art. So our class was split into two. So you had one day of the week where you would do manual, which was those different activities. So our class was split in half. For half of the year, one group would do sewing and maybe metalwork and art, and then the other half would do cooking, woodwork and art. So in my group, there were only two girls in my group. So it was me and another girl, and that girl wasn't always at school. So on manual days, I used to really dread manual days because I was the only girl. So if you're going to be the only girl, like, who are you going to hang out with that day? Like, it's all the boys. And what made it worse was that I actually had a crush on one of the boys, and he was in my group, so that just didn't go well. My first 11-year-old crush. So when I was a Form 1, so we had Form 1s and Form 2s in our class. So I remember it was my friend Vanessa, Matu, and they were both Form 2s, and then we had Tulane, Clara, Tanya, me, Mandy. Yeah, so that was our little group. That's who we hung out with. And I remember my friend Vanessa, she was like teasing me. I don't even know why. So she was teasing me about a guy named Adrian, and I didn't even have a crush on Adrian. And then the funny thing was that I actually started to have a crush on him after she said that. I like actually looked at him, and I was like, oh, he's actually good looking. Yeah, maybe I do have a crush on him now that you've put it into my head. Yeah, so he was my first intermediate crush, and I can say that because when you're intermediate age, you're just like a little kid. Yeah, so that was my first crush in intermediate, a guy named Adrian. Anyway, my Form 1 teacher, so when I was 11, was Mr. Ram. He was such a lovely man. So he was Indian and he was also Christian. And I remember, the kids used to just always make fun of Mr. Ram. And, I would stick up for him. I'm sure me and my friends would stick up for Mr. Ram because we liked him. And yeah, Mr. Ram we would start our day off with a prayer. And I just remember the kids, man, they just are so naughty during the prayer when Mr. Ram would give the prayer. And sometimes he would ask if anybody wanted to do the prayer. I'm pretty sure I must have given at least one prayer. Yeah, but he was such a nice man. I loved Mr. Ram. My sister and I, my sister Dinah and I, we used to love riding our bikes, going for bike rides around this age. And I just remember we used to ride our bikes to our intermediates. Yeah, just a nice memory. I used to love riding my bike with my sister. Oh, okay, then in Form 2, when I was 12, when I was Form 1, I used to really look up to the Form 2 girls, and I used to think, oh, they're so cool. So when they left, me being a bot, I was like, oh, cool, now I'm the cool girl. So, we had, the Form 1 girls in our class. Yeah, they were really nice girls. And then I was, so it was Mandy, Clara, Tanya, myself, Tulane, did I say Tulane? Yeah, so we were now the Form 2 girls in our class, and we had a new teacher, so we didn't have Mr. Ram anymore, but we had another teacher, and I won't say his name. Everybody liked him. Everybody liked this teacher, and there was a few girls who thought he was really good looking. What I was going through, I was such a little brat that I decided I'm too cool, and I'm going to be a little brat to this lovely teacher who hasn't done anything. And that's what I actually did. I was just a little rat bag to this poor teacher. I think it was because I just thought I was just so cool when I wasn't. So this poor teacher, yeah, I was just really mean to him. I remember I would walk to a lot of places, and I would see him in his car. I could see his car from far away, and I would because he was quite friendly as well, so he would beep out, wave, and every time he beeped out and waved, I just totally ignored him, nah, didn't acknowledge him in any way. And I could see that he would just like laugh, and he must have thought, man, that girl's so stubborn. She's such a little brat. Yeah, so I did that to my poor teacher, and I apologise. You know, if you ever do watch this, and I know you remember when you were driving and you would see me. Yeah, sorry. Please forgive me for being a little monkey. Yeah, anyway, so I actually was able to get my friends to turn against him. So that, again, that was Tulane, Clara, Mandy, Tanya. Okay, back to the diary memories, because the diary wrecker just came and wrecked my video. Okay, where was I up to? Okay, so I was talking about my poor teacher in intermediate when I was Form 2. Where I left off was that I had turned my friends against him. So these were just the Form 2 girls. So, but yeah, their dislike towards him was nowhere near as bad as mine. I remember Mandy, she was being punished for something, and what she did was, so she got punished. I think our teacher put like a little dot on the board, and you would have to like have your nose on that dot for a certain amount of time. And then another punishment he gave was if you were caught chewing in class, that you would have to stick your bubblegum on your forehead. Yeah, I never got to do any of those ones. And then the other one was, as a punishment, you would get sent to sit outside in the sun. So I remember Mandy, that was one of her punishments, and she was like, oh, I love this. This isn't even a punishment. I prefer to be sitting out in the sun instead of sitting in class doing learning. In Form 2, we had a camp, so that was for everyone in the class, so the Form 1s and 2s. So it only happened every second year. So we had like syndicates at the time, so there were like, I don't know, maybe six classes that formed a syndicate, and then that syndicate would go on camp together. Anyway, I think my friends and I had made a pact that, or maybe it was just in my head, that we wouldn't go to camp. So camp back in the day, that would have been quite expensive, especially for like my family. Yeah, so because I didn't like the teacher, I was like, yeah, nah, I don't even want to go to camp. Just didn't interest me at all. And so all of my other friends, I thought that we were like all on the same page, you know, we were going to boycott the camp, but in actual fact it was just me. So all my friends actually went to camp, and the funny thing is that we had parent interviews, and I was just like, oh, I really didn't want my parents to go, but my dad did come. He attended the parent interview evening. And yeah, he had a good talk with my teacher, who was a good man, but I was just a little brat. Anyway, my dad was like, oh yeah, you got some really good feedback from your teacher, you know, he's happy with your progress and you're doing really well. And then he said, oh, and he told me about the camp. Must have been maybe $100 or $200, which would have been a lot. And I was like, yeah, and my dad was like, yeah, you're going to go to camp. And I was like, oh, I don't want to go to camp, especially with that teacher. Anyway, I convinced my parents. I was like, no, it's okay, Mum and Dad. Like, you know, I don't need to go to camp. We can make better use of our money. Like, don't go and waste it on camp. You know, we can use it for other stuff. So anyway, my parents were like, yeah, okay then. I think they were only okay with it because I just really, you know, made out that I didn't want to go to camp, and, you know, I wasn't going to make a fuss. I was just happy to stay at school. Yeah, so I actually missed out on going to camp because I was so stubborn and such a little brat. And then the funny thing was, when my friends came back, you know, they were talking about how much fun they had, like, you know, how cool our teacher was, and I was just like, oh, I was like, oh, I don't care. But really, I was like, oh, missed out on all that fun. Like, I really didn't actually care. But, you know, now that I'm an adult, or not even when I was an adult, like I think when I was in high school, when I reflected on what a little brat I was, I just thought, you know, I just really regretted the dumb decisions that I'd made at that age, and the headache that I gave my poor teacher. So, because I really disliked this teacher, what I did was very, very dangerous. Confession, I've got a confession. So when I was, because I really disliked the teacher for no reason, for no good reason, I decided to go and let all the air out of his tires. And remember, I'm only like turning 12. I know that what I did was silly and stupid and dangerous. So yeah, I actually let the air out of all his tires. And this was like just before class started. Yeah, so I did that, and yeah, I regret that. And I told my girls, and they were just so disappointed in me. They're like, "Oh, Mum, like, why did you do that?" And I'm thinking, yeah, why did I do that, you silly little girl? Anyway, that was this was my last day of school. So on my last day of school, like, you know, it's like the best day. Not even the best. Oh, yeah, I suppose because you're prepping for high school, and you know, it's sad because you're going to say bye to the Form 1s, like your friends in your class. Anyway, I was chasing someone, and we were like running through a crowd. I'm pretty sure I was chasing one of the boys in my class, but not because I liked him. I think he did something. Anyway, so I was chasing this person through a crowd of people, and as I was chasing this person, somebody stuck their foot out, so I actually tripped over. And again, this sounds like a common theme for me, I ended up flying across the pavement, and yeah, on my face. Like, I was like literally landed on my tummy, on my face, and my knees were like badly grazed, so they were actually bleeding. And again, I felt so embarrassed, and I ran all the way home, like crying. I was crying, and I ran all the way home. She may have already finished school at this stage, because she was in high school at this stage. So she must have seen me running. I didn't say anything. I was just still crying, and then I went straight to my room and went to bed. So this was the last day of school, like Form 2. And then my friends, I think it was Clara and Mandy, because they lived past my house, so they came over after school, and they dropped my bag off, and all my stuff from school. And I think they wanted to speak to me, and because I didn't tell Rach what happened, and she knew that I was like really upset. Yeah, I think she interrogated my poor friends, and was like, "What did you guys do to my sister?" And they're like, "Oh, well, we did nothing." Like, I don't even know if they knew what happened, because, you know, I was chasing someone, and they probably didn't know, like, you know, where I was or what happened. I don't even know if I even told Rach what happened. Yeah, but that's what happened. Like, I was so embarrassed, I cried, because not only did I go flying across, you know, landed on my tummy, but, you know, I ran through a crowd, so there was like heaps of people there, and maybe there was some laughing, I don't know, but anyway, I just got straight up and just ran all the way home crying. Yeah, so that wasn't a very good last day, but maybe that was my payback, or my punishments for being such a little monkey to my poor teacher. My sisters and I, so for church, we used to go to a English speaking church, and we call it a ward. So we had a Samoan speaking ward, and then we had the English speaking ward. So before the Samoan ward came about, there was only the English ward. No matter what language you spoke, you just attended the English speaking ward, because that was the only ward at the time. So when a Samoan ward was formed, my parents, whose first language was Samoan, they started attending the Samoan ward. And the good thing about it was that they allowed me, Rach and Dinah to continue attending the English speaking ward with my older brother Mike. So Mike used to take us to church with him on Sundays, and then when Mike got a bit older and he left home, we had no choice but to start attending the Samoan ward with my parents. And I was about, I think maybe 11 at this time. My sisters and I we would only attend the Samoan ward when it was Mother's Day or Father's Day. So we would attend the Samoan ward, and we didn't really like attending the Samoan ward because we felt that the kids there, they were quite mean to us. They'd pick on us and play with our zips on the back of our dresses, like we're sitting there in rows and then somebody behind us is like pulling our zips up and down. Because our Samoa, or our inability to speak Samoan fluently like the rest of them, I think that's why they picked on us as well, is because our Samoa wasn't as good as theirs. Yeah, so when Mike left and we found that we had to start attending the Samoan ward, we really dreaded it, and we were like, oh no, they're gonna like pick on us. As time went on, you know, we became really good friends with all the youth there, and we just got used to each other. So yeah, no, it was good. We had good times. Okay, so when we were at intermediate, on Fridays, I think it was a Friday, we used to have Poly Club. I think it was called Poly Club. So for those who are not from New Zealand or don't understand what that is, because New Zealand has so many cultures, well, back in the day it was a lot of island cultures. Well, we used to get together and learn different cultural dances. So we'd have like Samoan, Tukelao, Kukalan and Māori. Yeah, so I really loved the Poly Club day, so we got to participate in that. So just learning different cultural songs and dances from the different cultures. So that was pretty cool. Like the schools in New Zealand, we love our singing, our dancing. So I remember our assemblies on Fridays, we used to do a lot of singing. And you know, you'd have like a group of guitarists playing the guitars while we're singing different cultural songs, or even English, a lot of English songs as well. And that's something that I noticed, like a difference between my kids growing up in Australia, like primary school, intermediate sort of age, is that when they sang songs, the songs that they would sing, they would like play like the song, and then all the kids would sing along with it. Whereas in NZ, like you've got the kids playing the music, and then instead of like a backing track, like the kids are singing like the song on their own. So that was something that I noticed that was different, you know, Australia versus NZ schools. So I loved like singing. Like I'm not like the greatest singer, but I really had an appreciation and loved music. And oh, the other thing is that I don't really remember like singing our national anthem. So that's one thing that I love about the Australian schools, is that they sing their Australian national anthem at their assemblies. So yeah, I thought that was pretty awesome, and I thought, oh, I wish we'd sung our national anthem growing up in NZ. And I would know it by now, but I don't think I actually know it off by heart. Whereas my kids, they know the Australian. I probably know more of the Australian anthem compared to the NZ, only because I, you know, used to hear it all the time. Yes, and I went to Waitangirua Intermediate in Porirua in Wellington, and they had the most amazing playground. I have never seen a playground as awesome as what the Waitangirua Intermediate playground. So this playground was huge. You could almost describe it as being like a huge building, like with different compartments, and in each of those different compartments of that building is like an obstacle course. So it was pretty amazing. So anybody who's been able to play like in the past on that playground, they'd know what I'm talking about. So yeah, the most amazing playground I've ever seen. It was a wooden structure, but it was huge, and just like I said, heaps of different areas. But then I think at the end of my Form 1 or Form 2, or maybe middle of Form 2, the playground was actually pulled down, and I'm sure it was probably due to safety issues. So if I picture my kids today like being 10, 11ish, I probably would not let them play on the playground only because I'd be like too scared they might fall off and break something or hurt themselves. Yeah, because as I look back, you know, that playground was pretty dangerous. I mean, in today's sort of health and safety, you'd need like a harness, you know, safety hat, safety boots, probably to even just attempt to go on that playground. But it was amazing, like really, you know, just the best playground ever. Yeah, and another thing that I loved to do while I was in intermediate was to join all these sports, well, the sports that I enjoyed. Like if there were tournaments, they would normally be at our intermediate, so other intermediates would travel to our school for these tournaments. So we would have like cricket, soccer, softball, and other ones, but those are the ones that I remember because they're the ones that I joined. And you know, because I was quite sporty, I think I mainly joined them just to get out of class for the day. I have been even over 12 at this stage, and I don't recall any diaries that I have left where I've talked about our first trip to Samoa. Anyway, so our family had saved up to travel to Samoa for Christmas, but just before we travelled to Samoa, there was a cyclone. Yeah, so when we landed in Samoa, I remember like walking down the stairs out of the plane, and the sky was like a purplish, bluish. Oh, it was so beautiful. But I remember like hopping off the plane, and the humidity just hit me. I was like, oh my goodness, this is so hot. And coming from NZ, you know, our weather's not that hot. If anything, quite cold. Anyway, just hopping off that plane, it was like, wow, yeah, this is so humid, but yeah, really beautiful. But yeah, just seeing like the silhouettes of the coconut trees, yeah, it's just such a beautiful sight to behold. So it was my mum and dad, Rach, Dinah and me. So Rach had already been when she was younger. This was me and Dinah's first time, and we had such an amazing time. And when we were younger, our parents, if we were naughty, oh, actually not so much us, maybe more our older sisters, we would hear our parents, if our sisters were playing up, they'd threaten to send them back to live in Samoa. And yeah, while we were on our trip in Samoa, we just absolutely loved it. And we were like, man, yeah, I would want to be sent here to live, because it was just so much fun. Like hanging out with our cousins, getting to know them, and yeah, we just had an amazing time. We loved it. That was another thing. When we came back from Samoa, we had some boils, and that was my first experience with boils. And yeah, I'm so glad that those days are over. Hopefully I never catch any more boils, but they're so painful. Ugh. Gross. Oh, but when we were in Samoa, so we were going to go and spend time with my grandpa. Yeah, the sad news was that my grandpa, I can't remember if he actually passed away during the cyclone or just before or just after. Yeah, I feel for my mum because she was so looking forward to seeing her dad, and then yeah, she found out that he had already passed away. Yeah, so that was sad for my. Yeah, we got to visit Savai, Sapapali'i, where mum's from, and yeah, just hanging out with all our cousins. It was so awesome. And then we also went to visit my dad's family in Lauli'i, and that was awesome as well. Catching up with my dad's family, and yeah, just really good times. Getting to know your family, you know, where they grew up, and yeah. And yeah, so that is the end of kindy, primary and intermediate memories that I had to share. Okay, so the next video, yes, I will see you on the next video. And oh!
Because she's evil. That's why. She's the evil diary reader.
No, I'm not.
Because she's
Hi,
evil.
Darling.
Hello.
Kiss.
Nope.
Aww. What a sad guy.
Okay, then yeah.
Okay, of course.
Mwah.
And that concludes our diary reading for today. Thanks for tuning in. And if you want your diary entry read on my channel, please email them to Helen Hotai, the diary reader, @gmail.com. This is Helen Hotai, the diary reader, signing out. Have a wonderful morning, afternoon, evening. Bye.